everything there is to know about Gardeniser as well. We've been working really closely together with the rest of our partners. I think what I'll do is we just have a few sort of housekeeping things to share with you. So I'm going to let Sophie talk through those right now.
Sure. Okay, thanks. Hi everybody. So you're not really going to hear from me too much. I'm just going to be kind of a bit behind the scenes today. So just to let you know how we're running this webinar. It is a webinar, although it's kind of being run with the Zoom meeting platform. But as people are coming in, I'm just muting everybody's video and your mics. So that does mean that we can't actually see or hear you. And one of the reasons for that is because we've got a lot of people wanting to join this call, which is great. There's lots of interest, but we're also recording, and so it just makes it much easier for sort of the video and people who might be viewing it at a later date. If it's just us speaking, and then we have to send you all permission forms basically to see if we can record. There isn't, I don't think, a Q&A function, but if you have a question during this session, I'm going to be monitoring the chat function, so please do use that to send in a question, and then I can put that to Heidi and Andrea at the appropriate time, and I'll try and yeah, keep on top of that. Please also use it to sort of chat to each other. As I said, we'll be recording the webinar. We will put it online afterwards, and as I think Heidi said, if you get kicked out of the webinar for any reason, then you should be able to rejoin. That's it from me.
Great, thank you very much. So, Andrea, did you want to say anything before we start, or you okay?
No.
You're fine. Okay, good.
We keep it down for questions more.
Okay. Yes, I mean, we're very happy to answer questions. So if there are things you think of as we go along, just put them down and we'll get to them at the end. We're going to basically kind of go through what the course was all about, and how it works.
Don't worry, leave it, it's fine.
And then hopefully we're going to keep muting people. If you aren't muted, could you mute yourself, please? And then we're going to also look at after I've sort of gone through some of that, we're going to look at the online platform that's been created, so you can sort of see what the Gardeniser platform is and how it works. And then, as I said, at the end, we'll take questions. Actually, this before we get going, actually. So if you other webinars. Oops.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, just before we kick off, I just thought it was worth flagging up that we do have a couple of other webinars coming up this week that people might be interested in. So this Thursday, we work with an insurance partner called McLaren's, and they're a specialist broker, and they provide insurance cover for a lot of our members, and they're a specialist in kind of working with community gardens groups like our membership, and they will be on this session, and they'll also be bringing a legal firm with them, and so if you've got questions about like risk, liability, risk management, hygiene, anything like that, kind of coming out of lockdown and to do with COVID-19, it's going to be a really session. And then kind of following from that on Friday, we're also going to be going through our checklist for reopening after lockdown, and that will be specifically again aimed at farms and community gardens. So both of those, actually the insurance one is on our website, so you can book on that, and the other one will be up soon. So yeah, they're coming up, so please do use those.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to kick off and just talk a little bit about what is a Gardeniser. It's a funny word, and it was made up word, but I think it sort of fits the name quite well. It's basically a key coordinating role, so you might know it as a community garden manager, or somebody sort of in charge at a community garden or at a farm as well. And the program's been developed with a bunch of different partners across Europe. As I say, Andrea from Italy is the sort of lead partner. And then we've worked with partners in Germany, Greece, and France. And the program recognizes the role, the professional role really, that people are doing within a community garden and the skills and expertise that they're bringing. But we've not ever had a course before that allowed people to really show what they could do and get a professional accreditation on that. So the course tests their learning and their achievements as they go along to show what they do know and what they have learned in order to manage a community garden. And the course consists of classroom training, which is 40 hours of classroom training, doing a wide variety of things. I'm going to explain what those are in a minute. There's an actual 40 hours of an internship where people are going and working practically at a community garden as well. And then once they've completed those two things, then there's an online test that they can take, which we'll show you at the end of the presentation. And then, so once they've gone through all that, sorry, I'll go back. Once they've gone through all that, then they can take the test and get the license, assuming they've passed the test. And we'll go through that, as I say, at the end, just see how that works. So the training is actually divided into 3 different modules. And the first one's really looking at everything there is to know about community gardens and the history of them, the different kinds of gardens there are, how they're designed, the variety of people that come to those gardens, the kinds of communities that are involved with those gardens, and sort of all of everything to do with like the place and where those gardens are. The second module is going into more detail about the staff and the volunteers that actually work at that garden. And there's a lot of time put into working with volunteers in particular, because all community gardens have that ability to take in volunteers, and working with volunteers has all sorts of interesting aspects to it. So that's really more of that module two, I can't speak, is very much looking at the people and the people that make up that project and drive it forward, and managing those people as well. And then the last module is looking at the financial sustainability of the project and how the finances are managed, and how you know that you're doing the kinds of things that you might be getting money to run. So how are you being how do you evaluate what you've done, and how can you sort of make sure that you can be sustainable in the future, and how do you make sure that you've got all the kinds of things in place to make sure that you've got a long-lasting project for the future. So I'm going to just run through these fairly quickly, but these are all the aspects that the training course covers, and these are all covered during those 40 hours in the classroom. So starting with the concept and main characteristics of a garden, and its history and different kinds. We look at negotiation, mediation that a manager would need, and that might be negotiating with landowners, it might be working with the business community, it might be with a local authority. There's lots of ways that you might end up doing that. We spend quite a bit of time looking at finding a site for your project and making sure that you can stay there, hopefully, looking at land and lease opportunities. We look at design of the project, and not just a design that works for the community, which is really important. If you've not had a manager before, or you have, we're looking at job descriptions. What does that job involve? There's lots of different things in different places, and different people need different kinds of skills depending on the kind of community you're working in, and the size of the garden, and the kinds of people coming into it. The rules and policies of the garden, I mean, that's been really interesting with COVID-19, because that's been something people are really concentrating on right now, because how you can, if you've had to close and now you're reopening, how do you do that safely, and how do you make sure that people can come in still, or possibly volunteer and do that safely? So that's a big aspect. We look at a number of different activities that can happen in the garden. Whoops. Hold on, let me go back. The volunteer and staff styles, because there are different kinds of ways that projects are managed. Some are much more depending on whether you need to do a lot of evaluation and you need to report back to funders, you may have a much more rigid style. There might be a more relaxed style. It just depends on the project. There's a section which we call seasonal wheel, which is looking at how you plan, what you're going to plant, how you're going to do that with your group, and what kind of community garden do you want to have? Are you going to be open year round? Are you going to be planting and growing year round, or are you closed some of the time? We have a section on working with people with physical disabilities and how they get around the project and how they get around your garden. And then there's a whole section on the whole emotional side. We have people coming from all walks of life with lots of different issues potentially, and managing those can be really challenging at times, and that can be a really interesting discussion. We spend quite a bit of time looking at strategies for that. There's the main contributions and challenges of working with volunteers, understanding their needs and how to recruit them. And also, once you've recruited them, how do you keep them? So you need to have an induction, and how do you keep them informed and involved? And then the last section, working with the sort of financial side, it's looking at how do you know what it's costing you to run your garden and what kinds of money you might need to bring in, and creating a plan so that you can think ahead and look at what kinds of money you might need to bring in and how you're going to do that. As I say, you might have to evaluate, because if you're being paid for, if your project's being partially paid for by a funder, they usually would like some sort of evaluation. And we'd go through some ways of doing quick evaluation and maybe some longer ways. And some of it's, you know, using video or other ways of doing things rather than just writing everything down. And then sort of lastly, we'll be looking at a health check of the organization, making sure that it's financially sound, it's got good governance, and it's able to, you know, plan effectively. So it's a big course, and there's a lot to it. It's very full, but very interesting as well. We use what's called the ECVET system, which is the European credit system for vocational training, and it's a European system that recognizes non-formal skills that gardenizers might have and how they can manage an urban community garden in a non-formal setting. It's flexible, and it sort of lets people go at their own pace, and it's often very non-formal, although obviously we do have a classroom part of things. There's also an internship, and that allows people to sort of work at a different pace. So what we've been doing and how this has worked is that we've had the course that we ran, and then once that was finished, we had, before we ran the course, we did training for trainers in Manchester, and we had people coming from all over the partners countries to come and train together with the view that they would be trainers for Gardeniser in the future. And that was in April 2018. Then we ran the training course, the actual course that I've just run through, in March 2019. And in the UK, we had 21 people. It ran for 7 days, and it was actually 50 hours, but we've cut it down a bit now for what we're going to do going forward. And in all the other countries, everyone had about 20 people at their course as well. So they were all sort of trying out the course for the first time, and they were incredibly useful because we got a chance to sort of see what worked and what we might change, and that was really interesting. So once we ran that classroom, we then were able to, and this is the joy of an Erasmus Plus program, send people abroad. So some people did their internship in the UK, but we also sent 8 people to the various partner countries over the summer of 2019, where they could visit other people's gardens and learn more about how community gardening works in different parts of Europe. And that was really, really interesting and very different in different places. And then 8 people stayed in the UK and did their internships at community gardens in the UK. And then we also hosted 8 people who came from the partner countries. So 3 interns came to us and went to Bristol, and 5 went to Nottingham. And then at the moment, as we speak, we've had 15 people take the test and gain the license. We've got a few more people within the UK to take that, and then they will be fully licensed gardenisers. So that's kind of the work that we did. I've just got a few pictures here. This was the pictures from the original training that we did with the trainers. So we used some staff from Social Farms and Gardens. We met in Manchester for 4 days, and we had people from Germany, France, Greece, and Italy come and train together on how to train the course. And that was really interesting. We happened to have a Social Farms and Gardens big event that we were running up in Manchester as well. And so people were able to sort of meet a wide variety of other community gardeners and people from lots of different projects, which was quite interesting part of the training as well. The weather was terrible, unfortunately, but besides that, it was great. And then this is some pictures from when we actually ran the training course in London for the 21 people who went on the 50 hours of training for 7 days. We took them all over London. We went to many, many projects. We all crammed into a tube at one point, which was quite interesting. We had a really good collection of gardenisers from lots of different experiences, and they did a great job of sort of sharing what they already knew and learning from each other. And it was a really positive week that we had that week. And then these pictures are just for the interns that we had come from last summer. We had first in Bristol, we had people from France and Germany, and then later on from Italy, Germany, and Greece who came to Nottingham, and they all had really interesting weeks as well. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. And you know, sort of managed to learn from each other as well. I mean, Erasmus Plus is all about learning from European partners and gaining experience and new ways of doing things and looking at things differently. So it was just really great to be able to do all that sharing within this program. So within the internships, they also are fairly comprehensive, and there are certain things that everybody has to do within the internship. Whether they went abroad or they stayed in the UK, everyone had to visit 3 community gardens and look at their history and management and help a community garden run a local consultation. They had to organize some sort of activity in the garden and then look at how they might recruit volunteers into the spaces they were looking at, run an induction process for volunteers. They had to create an action plan and then work with the project to bring in income and help them run events or a session or something that would be income generating. They needed to run an evaluation session and then undertake a health check of the garden. So the internship is just as full and busy and challenging as the classroom, but it's much more at everybody's own pace. So everyone in the UK was able to do that over the course of the summer. Obviously, if they were going abroad, they only had a week to do things. But generally speaking, the internship you can do at your own pace and in your own time with whatever works for you. So that's the internship. And then the last bit, once they've done the classroom work, they've done their internship, they produced all kinds of work for the internship to prove that they've done all the things that were in that list, they could take the online Gardeniser test to gain the license. And Andrea is going to show us a little bit more how that works. But that sort of gives you an idea. You can see sort of who's taken the test so far and who's on the map, and your profile is up there and people can find you and communicate with you and find out more about where you work once you've got your license. So it's a really good way to sort of share more about yourself and join up with other people across Europe. So where are we now? There's a few things that we're doing. Within Social Farms and Gardens, we're getting something called BAC accreditation, which is through the British Accreditation Council. And that means that the training that we offer will be accredited training. Unfortunately, COVID-19, we started applying for this, and then COVID-19 came, and one of the things they need to do is actually see us doing the training so that we can get that. So we're sort of in the middle of that, and hopefully that's going to progress as the year goes on, and we're able to prove that we can deliver really high quality training. We've just launched the website, and the license, you know, has been made available this month. So that's very, very recent and very exciting. We really have seen a really big demand from Europe to run at least one more Gardeniser course in 2020. And we are thinking about how we might do that. Obviously it is difficult because we are finding, well, at the moment, we're not allowed to meet together and run a classroom trained event. So we're going to have to watch that space, but we are looking at different ways that we might be able to do that hopefully this year. We submitted a new Erasmus Plus 3-year bid where we will be the lead this time, but we will be working with Andrea and our partner in France and another partner in Belgium. And we want to run a Erasmus Plus Train the Trainer program, because we can see that we're going to need a lot more trainers, as well as people that want to just go on the normal course. We're going to need more trainers. So that is what we're looking at next. And we're going to find out in August if we get that money. So watch this space on that. And it's not moving me along. Hold on. As I said, we're hoping to run a paid-for Gardeniser training course in the autumn, and that would be open to anyone in the EU. So anyone that wants to sign up and is willing to come to the UK is more than welcome. But we're just sort of waiting to see what we can do and how we can do it. But we also know that we're going to need more trainers no matter what. So even if we don't get the Erasmus Plus money, then we're going to be looking at how we might do that. So hopefully we will, and that will make things really easy. But it is clear that we're going to need more trainers. So I think that is pretty much all I've got to say. And I'm going to hopefully hand my screen over to make Andrea the host, maybe. I might need Sophie to do this. I'm not sure I can now. Otherwise, I mean, I can go into this. This is not letting me make you the host, unfortunately. Oh, maybe you can. Can you share your screen, Andrea?
Yeah, I'm trying.
You're trying.
Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No. Oops. Sorry. Let me go back. No, I'm still. Oops.
No?
It says you're screen sharing. So. I mean, I can just go into this. I might have to do it for you if you're not able to.
Can you see it now?
No.
No way?
Oh, yes. Now we are. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So rapidly, with this website, it has to be simple. It has to be colored. It has to be familiar. This is the question. It has to be the same, almost the same, on a laptop, on a tablet, and on a mobile phone. This is more or less the idea, because this is a website that has a big destiny, and the destiny of this website is to be in your life over time, because finally we have a little bit drop up what is where the purposes of the project. We have simply to make a platform to identify where are the gardenizers, and that was what it was promised to the European Commission. But due to the fact that we are, all of us, very passionate, and we love a lot to do more than what it has been promised, we go a little bit far from what it was promised, really. So we have created a sort of hub. So this website is already speaking a language that is not the language of the Gardeniser project, but is already speaking the language of Gardeniser of the project. This is the project that we applied together, and we are waiting for the answer from the European Commission, and is speaking also from a few other ideas we have to develop in the future. But most of the important thing is that it has been developed to be useful for the dialogue between urban community gardens and the gardenizers, and also offering a possibility to people that don't know urban gardens to have a first approach and to find a unique place, some resources that they can use to understand how to approach this world, how to approach community gardens, how to find them, how to find resources to see what they are doing, and so on. This is more or less the idea for the future of Gardeniser.eu. It's a multilingual website. At the moment, it is in English, French, so French, Italian, German, and Greek. And there is a lot of other resources that has been developed already in Spanish. So in the next future, if we found out another partner that is able to cooperate with us, we can easily go for another language in it. What is providing is a website that is possible to be explored by outside as a simple user. You can go, you can see where are the gardens, you can see where are the gardenizers, you can see good practices and activities that you can do in a urban garden. You can go through the different resources that we have uploaded in the website, and we continue to upload in the next future. This way also over publication that normally don't find any space in the shop because they are too much a production of urban gardens, a production of people. So they have not a market, they are not for selling. So they can go there and they can find a place where to put a lot of publication, little handbooks, suggestions, descriptions that can be very interesting to know that they are there. You can go there and you can find very specialized publications and information about urban gardens activity. But it's the possibility anyway to have an account, to ask for an account, to enter in contact with this website, and to enter and to ask an account for being a gardenizer. So in this case, you have to have already participated in a training course, Gardeniser Pro, that is composed by the training course, as Heidi was saying, and the internship. At the end of it, you will have a possibility to have the status of aspirant gardenizer, and you can go and pass the license. So you will click, for example, in this green button, so we stay green, you go inside, and you have a possibility to see the description of the gardenizer side, and you will have a test. You will have a test where it is online, 42 different questions. Don't be afraid about the 42 different questions, but they have to cover all the 3 areas of competencies we have developed inside the training course, and the areas of competencies of the internship also. But all the questions has already 3-4 answers, so you have only and simply to choose which is the right one. So nothing to write, no handwriting, no typing, simply clicking, and you so for this you can do on your mobile, you can do on laptop and so on. It takes more or less half an hour, 40 minutes for the people that are more reflective. But it is possible to, in a certain way, arrive to something like that. It means at the end, you will have your results. And from your profile, okay, don't see at my profile. I know already the answers. It's not because I'm good. It's simply because I know the answers. I make the test, and my test was, of course, 100% because I have to test if the system was functioning. So don't look at mine, look at the others. But anyway, you will have a possibility to see in percentage which are the competencies you have in the 3 main areas. So urban gardens, human resources, let's say, so how to manage people inside the urban gardens, and sustainability of the project. It's our 3 main areas. As Heidi was saying, you have a possibility also to download your license. So I don't know if I think it is in English also. Yeah. So this is the document you will appear. But if you are interested, because someone from France would like absolutely to have you as a Gardeniser working in France for some time and so on, but they ask for you, please give me the possibility, can you send us your Gardeniser license certificate in French? You don't have to ask someone to make a stamped translation, something official, because it's simply going and changing the language in French. You can have a certificate in French. You go in German, you can have a certificate in German. It's automatically is the machine that is doing the work, and all your records will be reported in the other languages. You have also the possibility here when you are a Gardeniser. So you have a possibility also to download your logo of the program, and you have a possibility to use your logo because you are officially authorized to use it in the signature of your email or in a CV, any kind of document that is promoting you as a professional. This is more or less the idea. And this is the license. But when you do the license, what happened? What happened is the machine, the database, is taking care about yourself. Now you are part of the Gardeniser community. So we have to bring you, to accompany you. So as you can see here in this blue part, all the new Gardenisers appear directly on the homepage. So all the world is informed that the new Gardeniser, taking the license, and they can see you. If they don't really interested to the last one, you can see anyway, and going on the map, you can see that you have a possibility to find your Gardeniser. And for example, you have a map with all the Gardenisers around Europe. But if you go here, you put United Kingdom, yeah, not United Arab Emirates, but United Kingdom. You take it out, you make a search, and you have all the people geolocalized in the different places. When you have more than one, of course, that are very near each other, they are regrouped like that. So you see the numbers, but finally you can see how many people are in different parts of United Kingdom, and you see a sort of information, which are the people that are United Kingdom. And if you are interested, you can see the profile, you can contact them. It means you can enter inside, you can see, for example, how much they are strong in urban gardens management, or how much they are strong thanks to the certificate to in the field of human resources, for example. So you can also choose which are the people that are more interesting for your urban garden, and you can contact them. You can contact them through the website. So in this way, all the GDPR limitations are absorbed because they have given the permission to receive information through a website. So in this way, you have no email, you are not stealing anything from anybody. You're simply contacting them through a website that has already solved and answered to all the requests of GDPR. That was one of the important things we have done together. There is the possibility to go on the Gardeniser site, on the Gardeniser trainings section. You have all the next. Now, for the moment, you have only the old one. But as Heidi was saying, very near, you will have another rectangle that is in a sort of way announcing you, which is the next possibility. And you have a next possibility, United Kingdom, probably in English. But you can also have another possibility of training that can be in English, but can be in Rome, in Italy. Or if you know French, you can be interested to see that there is another training course done in French, in France, in Po. So you can have a possibility. This section is really putting in value all the production of training that the organization and dealing with urban gardens around Europe are doing. And in this way, you can have a possibility to also see as a user where are the different training courses, which is the most interesting one for you. Of course, there is the possibility to go and see, for example, in Violet, the Gardeniser profile, the one that Heidi was explaining to you, because it's not very important probably for you, but it's very important for the people that are working or looking for gardenizers to understand what it is exactly in short. So we have reported there. And you remember the question of ECVET system, a system that we choose only to have a possibility to support the recognition of this role at European level. In this way, each country can transform, can translate the value of ECVET credit in their countries with their system, but at least we have all something that can be common, something that we can refer to, and the total value of a training course plus the internship, as Heidi has already explained, is 7,5 ECVET points. And it can be used to be recognized in different kind of system, but you need to show to someone where and how it has been done, this kind of things, ECVET system, ECVET credit, where do you take it? Why you say that is 7,5 ECVET credit points. So you can show to them the website, you can give to them reason for your request of recognition when you are proceeding with it. Of course, there is a very short video also that is going in loop in the website, but it's possible to find it with music, without music, and sound in order to also promote the Gardeniser. And this very, very, in short, it is sum up here. The Gardeniser is not a technician, not a landscape designer, not an expert, not a facilitator, not a trainer, not a counselor, not a friend. It's all that together. So what we say, we always discuss a lot about the question that is a sort of if you want to call it in a way that is more known, is a sort of cultural mediator that has all other things, other competencies, a lot of other competencies in order to work in the urban garden. Is someone that surely is taking care about growing something, but is not vegetables, is people. This is more or less the summing up of it. You have a possibility to go also and to see and read everything has been explained very rapidly in this webinar, because in the European program, every time that you are doing something, you have to write something. It means you have to deliver something in writing. And so you have here, when Heidi was talking about training for trainers, all the reflection we have done, all the activities we have used, all the format has been conceived and put in a leaflet, in a booklet that you can download here. So you can have a possibility and direct access to the reflection we have done together for 3 years, because the idea is we deliver to the people everything we have done, because you have not to reinvent the wheel. You can start from there and continue to contribute, you also, to the development of that. Training for gardenizers, again, when we do the training course, when we do all the activities, the exercises, all the things that come from a different country, it has been regrouped in a book. And this book, there is also all the possibilities, and there are more possibilities than the one that has been used. Because Heidi was saying, yeah, we in United Kingdom, we try for 50 hours. After someone else, then 42. And after we say, okay, let's say 40 hours is the minimum. But if you go through the program, you can see that you can use this program also for making 8 months of training program if you want. There are some universities around Europe that are looking at this program and say, wow, we can transform it in an academic course. It is true, because there is no limit to the deepness of what we can do on certain kind of topics. There is a lot of things we can learn and so on. But what we were looking for, it was something that was coming from the empiric experience and putting it inside a context and the box that can be provided to people that are doing other things in life. So not only doing that, they are not simply students, they are people that are working, people that have their own life. So something that can be acceptable, something that can be affordable in order to prepare themselves better. And the license. why the license is like that, why the questions are like that. What is this idea of recognition of non-formal and informal learning? Normally, non-formal learning, informal learning is a non-recognition, or it's something that you do for yourself. Yeah, but it's true. But what you are doing, one time that you personally develop yourself, after you are able to support the others. So what we are asking for recognition is recognition for your ability to support the others. So that's why we put in a little leaflet, again, all the reflection we have done. And of course, the assumption is nothing is a gold rule, nothing is fixed. This is the point we reach in 3 years of reflection. But it's still possible to go on. It is needed to go on and to continue to develop and do more. So that's why we are doing all this kind of multiplayer events, diffusion moments like the one we are doing now, to spread as much as possible and to enlarge as much as possible the learning community, having the possibility to go on and to go on together, as Heidi was saying. If we want to answer to all the questions and requests that comes especially from municipalities, from regions, from public administration all around Europe, more they were going deeper in knowing what was the Gardeniser, what was the word of urban community gardens and so on, more they were interested, more they were asking for, please come to us, please bring to us some people that can make them train, please empower our people locally to do a training course in Polish, in Spanish, in Latvian. All that, we were not ready. We were absolutely not in condition to answer in these 3 years to that. We are now developing the idea, we are creating the condition for doing it, but for sure, it has to be something that is in a certain way done together. Urban community garden is not only a name, there is this community, that is the local community, but thanks to the European project, we have tried to bring this community also to international level, so to work together and to go towards a direction, a different way of human development, or a different way also to conceive welfare through the urban community gardens. So this is more or less the idea that is behind. We had, as we were saying, another step. We say, so all the urban gardens, one time they have this sub, they can contribute to it. First of all, we do another map. And this map is now concerning the urban gardens. And you can add your urban garden. So you can describe everything. There is a sort of form that is guiding you, is helping you to create and to do a sort of information web page about your urban garden. And it's possible after to appear on the map. So there is this possibility. You see, for the gardenizers, the snail was the logo. For the urban gardens, there is an artichoke. And this artichoke, in the leaves of the artichoke, there's a lot of little windows. The windows are represented about city, the urban area and everything, because that was more or less what was speaking to us in terms of urban gardens. And you have a possibility to go after, you can always look, now there is only few urban gardens, of course, on the map, but you can go there and you can click and view the profile. It means to see all the description about the urban garden. And what we were working for is to have a sort of homogeneous form. It was not easy at all, because French tradition about urban community gardens is different from the one of Italy and different from the one of the United Kingdom. So to find an agreement and to find a way to have an homogeneous way of presenting ourselves was not so easy. It's a try. We can always change. Of course, we can improve. And so if you do it, if you put your urban garden there and you have something to ask, something to suggest, we are quite open. Heidi is always there to collect all the information. And we do all that on a website with a CMS management system that is Drupal. And Drupal has been created by the network. It means it's something that is not a known software. It's a free software done by communities. That's why we choose it. Also because it will be easier for us to continue to develop it. And you can say, okay, that's all? No, it's not. Because we say, okay, but what are the activities that the urban gardens can do? And so we create a toolbox for urban gardens with 3 possibilities. The first one, a learning pathway. So I don't know what I am, or I know what I am, but I don't know what I'm looking for. You can answer to 5 little questions. You will always have the same system. Huh? Question, 3 answers, only to click. You give in 5 clicks, you will have, this is the assumption, what you are looking for. And what are you looking for has been organized, if you go back to searching by topic and theme, in a way that is by target group, by topics, and by competencies. It means by the people I can address the activity, by the topic I can choose for the activity, or I'm looking for, and for the competencies that this activity can help to participate to. And you will have a possibility to choose it, and you will have all the combination of good practices that you can desire and that the database has. Of course, some people has already have a look to it and say, aha, but this activity that we use a lot in our urban community garden is missed. Okay, no problem. You come back to toolbox for urban gardens, you go a little bit down, and you can find add a good practice. And you will have a fantastic form guiding you to organize all your information in introduction, implementers and professionals, topic, management and ownership, objectives, materials. You can put your photos, you can put your videos, you can guide the people step by step in reproducing it. And this is something that you can do, of course, in English, but you can do also in other languages if you know other languages, and if you are interested to cooperate with other people in other parts of Europe. Effectively, Heidi has mentioned that we are working on Gardeniser app. That is the project concerning training for trainers, bringing the trainers around Europe and empower the people at local level to do their training course for gardenizers that will empower urban gardens. But what we have done also, it is also to develop a second project that we apply in France about exchange of gardeners, having the possibility for the gardeners to go in the different countries and to pass 1 week or 2 weeks abroad, helping another gardenizer, supporting them, and having the possibility to discover a lot of other things and how things are going on in the urban gardens in another country. Sorry for being so long, but there is a lot of things inside this website. Please use them as much as you can, as much as you prefer.
Thank you very much, Andrea. That was really good, really interesting. It's nice to see how the website's developing. I think we've got quite a few questions possibly, and I'm hoping Sophie's sort of been keeping track of some of them.
Yeah, I'm still here. I've just hidden my video because I think I was having some connection issues, but can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you fine.
Super.
Yep.
Well, yes, we've had some really good questions come in. The first one that I'm going to start with is the absolutely dreaded Brexit word. So a couple of people asked whether the accreditation would still be valid after Brexit and just how that might be affecting things.
There shouldn't be any effect from Brexit. And in fact, as I said, we've just applied for another 3-year program and we've already left the EU, but we are still allowed to be part of Erasmus Plus programs and we are allowed to apply for things. So there shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. ECVET is the system that they've approved, but yeah, it shouldn't cause any problems in terms of, I mean, there may be more problems in terms of you just easily going to France and suddenly getting a job there. But in terms of the license and getting it and having it be recognized across Europe, there shouldn't, as far as I can tell, be any problems. I don't know if Andrea.
No, I think so, because what we have based was to create a European credit system. It's not coming from the European Commission, is coming from the joining, gathering all the systems together for a further connection. It has nothing to do with the European Commission. It's concerning because it said, okay, we get an agreement how to speak together, how to have the same language at European level, but we know that the application of it has to be local. So it doesn't matter really that is 7,5 points, ECVET points. What is important is how many points, hours, stars they are recognizing to you in the United Kingdom. This is really important. So it's simply a convention, and we work at European level because if not, it was impossible to find a way to have a validity at local level. But that was the purpose. Yeah.
So no, you should be fine, and we plan to go forward and use it.
Yeah, we can also add something that is more political. That is the question that
Go ahead.
everything we do is mutual.
Yeah.
So we don't care if European Commission or non-European Commission is that Italy is recognizing the value of what United Kingdom has done, of what France has done, of what Greece has done, what Germany has done. That's another question. It's our word. We decide the rules together. We create the rules together because we work at local level. We connect internationally only because we are part of a bigger plan. And we can, in environment, is clear that each of us has to do something locally in order to have an effect globally. So exactly this point. So don't think about structures. We accept to go for European structures only to have the possibility to be more free at local level.
Yeah.
Exactly the opposite reasons for Brexit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. And there's been a few questions about just the sort of nuts and bolts in terms of who can take the course, what's the application process, do you screen participants, you know, do you have to pay for it, is it funded, and then also are you considering any options around like more remote delivery, considering, you know, the sort of situation at the moment, so if you weren't able to deliver the next round of training as planned, you know, what are the options there?
Okay, well, the first thing is we will need to be charging for it in the future. So this has been a 3-year pilot program, and the people that participated, because they were our guinea pigs, we asked them to do lots of work for us. There was an extra and additional to what a normal person taking the course would be. So we will be charging for it going forward, and that will be the case for all the partners. So I'm afraid it won't be free, but we'll try and make it as affordable as possible. Sorry, what else did you add? Oh, what other things were in there? When will we be doing it next? No.
Yeah, what's the screening process?
The screening process.
If they want
we do have and I didn't go through that in great detail, but we are looking, we do have a system in terms of what kind of experience you would need. So if you've never been to a community garden and you've never worked in one, and you just think it's a nice idea, that isn't going to quite make it for this course, because you do need to have a higher level of experience than that. So we are, and that's what we, as I say, there's a whole sort of checklist of things that you need to have. You do need to be over the age of 18 as well, because it's a course for adults, not for kids. But we're looking for people with some experience of community gardens and working with volunteers and having some idea of what that looks like. So if you haven't done that, having said that, if we do get some funding from Erasmus Plus in August, then we might be able to take other kinds of people who don't necessarily have that experience, but have a real interest in kind of what's happening. Oh, and I did see somebody was saying about why are you calling it urban gardens? What about smaller places that aren't in urban areas? That is the sort of word that gets used in Europe, but it does mean community gardens of in any location. Doesn't matter whether they're in a city or in a tiny village, wherever. Urban gardens is sort of the catch-all for that. And then in terms of how we deliver it, we are starting to look at whether, and I haven't talked to Andrea about this, but I will do, so apologies, but we are looking at whether maybe we could do this course as a virtual course, online, and then the internship could just be done, in your own time. But we might be able to do something soon, because it looks like it's going to be trickier to do something in a classroom. So that's something that I am really interested to talk to the partners about, and see whether that is possible, because it probably would be possible, but we just have to think about how we would do it. So.
It's Heidi, it's part of a discussion what we have, because you all which are listening and looking at us discussing about it, that is an ongoing discussion we have. If you go now to the Intellectual Output 2, when you download it from the website, you will see that the last part is missed, because we are doing an evaluation right now, because we are in the last month of the project, about the impact of a training course. The impact of it in training course intended, that training course plus the internship, and what is coming out is extremely interesting, because it's really seeing the project functioning. If you have a group of people that has really low experience in urban garden, having experience in urban garden, but not a lot. Some other people super experts, like in the United Kingdom was this time, for example, in community gardens only. Community gardens, very structured people, a lot of things, and we say, oh, the same program for these two kind of people, it will not function, or for the other, or for one for the other. It's not true, because a lot of the component that is bringing learning is the mutual learning, if peer education among the people. So more things you know, more things you share, more deep is the training course, more deep is the learning. So finally, the program we have established is really can go in different scale of working. So the question of going online or stay in presence is a big deal, because you can probably be more independent. There is less cost. You can reach more people that normally are very, very geographically distant from the big cities, but it is as a sense. But the other side, you're losing probably another component that is what staying together and doing the things together brings, that is typical from non-formal education. So this is it can be that there are two ways to reach the same goal in different way, and still need some reflection on it. But it's possible. Most of the things can be done, but believe me that the contact between the people, I'm not talking about physical contact, I'm talking about being concentrated. And one of the most important things that we're really taking into account is that it's really rare to have a possibility in our lives to take a concentrated moment dedicated only to one thing, to go deeper on one thing. This is really make the difference. That's the reason why in presence as a different.
And I would say, let the 21 people that went on the course over a year ago now, they're still talking to each other, sharing with each other, helping each other. They're very engaged with each other still, because they had that really great connection for over a week. Sorry, but an intense week. And, you know, they learned so much from each other. So that was, you know, it was important, but we are where we are right now. So we might have to do things a bit differently for the moment.
Yes,
Heidi, in terms of just keeping in touch, how do people stay up to date with what's happening? Is there a mailing list?
So what I was going to say, at the moment, we do have a newsletter, and we've got another one just about to come out. So,
and is that through the website that people join?
We will be posting that on our website, so you can see the latest newsletter. But what I would also say is I'm starting to keep a list of people that are saying to me they would be really interested in a course coming up. So if that is something that you are really interested in, then please do email me and just let me know, and I'll keep your name and details. And then when I have more to tell you, I can email you with whatever it is we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
And what's your email address?
And so my email address is heidi@farmgarden.org.uk. Great,
thank you. And just another really quick one. I think maybe not everybody's familiar with, I can't remember how you said it, but ECVET. Yeah, so are there other vocational courses that they accredit?
So ECVET is not an accreditation body. It is a way of learning, and it is a way, and it's a way of learning that Europe has approved of, if you like, and there's a whole system behind it, but it's not like a body on its own. But there are plenty of other people and other kinds of courses out there. I'm not, and Andrea, how would people, like if people were interested in finding an ECVET course, where would they look?
As you said, it's simply a system for for recognizing local training system. So to call them in a way or to see them in a common way, but it's not proposing any kind of training that is directly done by, but it's only a system. That's simply that. I see that there is an answer that we can answer and non-answer on the chart. It's a question of a license. I'm a licensed Gardeniser. I will lose. We have to repeat. I have to renew the license. No, this is not the question. But we are preparing our kind of level of training courses, not for Gardenizers, but for trainers of Gardenizers and of technicians of the municipalities that would like to work with Gardenizers, and teachers in the schools that would like to have a garden inside the school. So it will be possible that the kind of license will be diversified if it will be approved. If it will be not approved, it will be harder, but we will do it again anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. So we'll look at there are different levels and different ways that you can get involved. Hopefully that's but this is kind of the first level, if you like, becoming a Gardeniser.
Yeah.
Was there anything else, Sophie?
I mean, somebody had asked just about any possible connections with permaculture. So, I mean, I know that we, through other projects, have worked with the Permaculture Association, so we do have a relationship there. But I didn't know whether, I don't think there's any kind of direct content.
I mean, permaculture does come into it, definitely came into it at the course we ran. I'm pretty sure it did in Rome as well, when what you did, because part of the course is looking at how do you design a garden and how do you, do a good job of involving the sort of community, but also how do you grow in a sustainable way, and permaculture would fall into that. And definitely we had a number of people on the course that we ran, that were very involved with permaculture. So that sort of naturally came out, but it wasn't something that wasn't the only thing we were focusing on, because as Andrea said, a lot of it's about like how you're managing things and how you're managing people. And it's more about people than anything else, rather than lots of what's the best way to grow beans or any of that kind of thing. It really won't be focusing on that kind of thing as much.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Okay.
I think that's all of the questions that people have sent through. If anyone's got anything else they want to ping in, be very quick. Otherwise, yeah. Oh, and somebody's just said that if you do want more information on ECVET, there's lots on Google, there's lots online, so you should be able to find
on ECVET. Yeah. If you want to learn about that, we have on our website there is a section on Gardeniser as well, so you can see more. Obviously, we've recorded this and we're gonna share the presentation, so then you'll be able to go on that website that Andrea just showed you, so you can see what that looks like and play around with it a bit more, because it is really full of stuff. There's more to come, hopefully, because you'll be adding to it, which is great as well.
Sorry to remember I don't want to advertise anything, but if you go on the website www.gardeniser.eu, in the resources, the second intellectual output, that is the training for Gardeniser, contain a chapter only dedicated to ECVET, and from there you have all the references and the notes to go further. It means to go to the documents we have found and to read more and more and more. So took it as a reference in order to understand how does it function, but look at it also because inside we explain how we approach the ECVET system, how we organize the things to stay inside of it without changing the content of what we want, without changing our purposes. We adapt the words, we adapt the structure, we adapt the way of presenting in order to stay inside, but we were not changing what was the original purposes of community gardening.
No, yeah. Okay, I just have a last, hopefully I can get back to my presentation, maybe not. or maybe you don't, maybe we don't need to. I don't know.
If you can get the slide up, Heidi, I can just sort of explain. So I'll quickly flag up again that we've got another couple of webinars coming up this week. So if you think that they might be helpful, then please do join them. And then the other thing to say is that I know some of you have probably already seen, but we do now have the Social Farms and Gardens group. So that's a really great place for people if you want to kind of ask the general community questions or talk about anything that's sort of going on, ask for advice, share ideas, inspiration, stuff that's happening in the garden. That's a really nice place to do it. So if you haven't joined that group, please do. It's it's just a really sort of friendly environment. And that's it. Those are the two things that I really wanted to flag up, Heidi. I think there's just like a last contact details slide, just in case anyone...
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to go back to this. These are the two that are coming up if you're interested in other webinars that are happening this week with risk, and next week on sort of what happens after COVID and how to reopen your garden and get it up and running, hopefully. So this last one is, I think that's it for how to find us.
Yeah, keep in touch. That's us.
Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. It's really great that so many people are really interested in what Andrea and I and the other partners have really worked really hard to try and get something that meets everyone's needs. And there's still more work to do, but it's great that so many people have been really interested in it. So thanks for coming to learn more. And feel free to get in touch if you need to.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.